Hello, everybody. Happy Friday afternoon. It's May the 15th, 2020. For the benefit of the audio, my name's James. I'm one half of the Planet FPL podcast, and you are listening to my regular Friday afternoon stream, Ask James, on YouTube, where essentially we ask anybody to come into the YouTube chat, and I will answer any questions football related. Before I get onto the chat and those joining in, first of all, as those might have seen on Twitter this afternoon, I did say I would announce all the guests that are coming on officially onto the Planet FPL 24 live stream for 24 hours from 6 a.m. next Saturday on the 23rd to 6 a.m. on the Sunday morning. We have 22 confirmed guests who will all generally be coming on for around about half an hour. There are a few more who may be a little bit longer, more like 45 minutes. But we've got people coming on from the community. Many you will know, some you will know, less know. And a couple you may never have heard of. For example, I've done something very rare and I've invited a friend of mine to come on. There's a very good reason for that. What we'll be doing over the next 7 days or so is sort of feeding out in terms of times these guys are coming on, the sort of subjects we'll be discussing with these guys. So obviously you can then pick and choose which ones you do and you don't listen to. But so for the 22 names that will be coming on onto the live stream are 4 people very much related to the Champman FPL game at the moment, are Game Makers, FPL Tactician at SimpleGoal_FPL, and James Alapran are all going to be coming on individually at various points during the day. And obviously the centerpiece of the 24-hour stream will still be the Champman FPL. It's game week 16, which includes the Planet FPL derby between Spurs and West Ham. And obviously Suj will be in the same building as me, so it will be slightly different to normal. Those 3 lads are all definitely coming on. Also, our graphics guy, who many of you in the chats will have got to know a little bit over the last few weeks or so, FPL Captain, is going to come on. I want to introduce him properly to the community. He's done so much to help those Champman FPL live streams. So he's going to come on, and I can say with him, definitely, he's going to come on immediately after the Champman FPL game week. So it'll be graphics off, and then Chris FPL Captain will come into the stream. There's going to be a big Champman FPL theme during the day. Obviously, we wanted many of our correspondents involved. We've not got all of them on. That was partly the original thinking, but obviously many of the guys at the moment are kind of on shutdown, switching off from FPL. A few of the lads have got exams they're revising for, dissertations they're writing and stuff. So I didn't want to fix them into confirmed slots. So we've got 8 of the guys coming on. They're going to be coming on in 3 different slots during the day, 1 in the morning, 1 early evening, and 1 in the middle of the night as well. And what I'm going to do with them, because we got 8 of them coming on rather than the 23 that I've got, is we're not going to be going so specific into their clubs. We'll obviously mention it, but we're going to do stuff with the guys which is a little bit different to, I've got the Arsenal correspondent on. We're going to talk about Arsenal for 25 minutes or so. So we're going to do slightly different things with that. So FPL Badger, Norwich correspondent, FPL Blade, Sheffield United correspondent, FPL Gaffer, our Southampton correspondent, FPL Footballer, our Newcastle correspondent, FPL Loco Lord, our Liverpool correspondent, Is My Cat Playing, our Man United correspondent, at Parker_Bradley, our Wolves correspondent, and 35, who are Arsenal correspondent. We're all going to be coming on at various points in the day, and it's not going to be specifically club related to those 8 teams. As I said, we will obviously touch on it, but we're going to do slightly different things with the guys in terms of themed subjects, which I think will be quite interesting. And there's also guests from the community who are going to be coming on. So Alex Waterbaby is going to come on last. He's in New Zealand. He's been a great guest in the past on the FPL Surgery. It's someone we've wanted to collab with for quite a while. So Alex is going to come on at some silly o'clock hours to see us through to the end. Elite FPL Steve-O is coming on. I'm really impressed with what the Elite guys have done this year on their YouTube channel. So I want to get Steve-O on. I've invited my friend Emma Story. You can follow Emma Story 81 on Twitter. Many of the Spurs community will know who Emma is. Emma's basically, she's living in Germany at the moment, so she can give us some insight in terms of what's happening with the Bundesliga restart. And also I want to have a chat with her in terms of what it's like for the modern day woman to go to football. How's it changed for her over the years? Emma is as knowledgeable as anybody I know about football. You'll love to meet her. Our friend Sham, FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup, is coming on. FPL coach is coming on. FPL Nim from the Wildcats is coming on. Andy, Let's Talk FPL will be on. Stefan RW, our friend from Beer Nuts, is going to be our first guest in the morning. He's obviously been giving out lots of care packages to people in the community. I say giving out, people are paying for his beer and his nuts. So I want the community to meet Steph as well. Tom Campbell, Utley TC, is going to be back on again following his brilliant quiz with us a couple of weeks ago. And it's going to be quiz part 2 with Tom. And he's not the only TC that will be on. Tom Cancel from Who Got the Assist will also be joining us. Those are our 22 guests on the 24-hour live stream that we're doing on the 23rd. I wanted to have a lot more guests. As soon as it got to the point, it was like, James, enough. And there was a few people I was in talks with who I had to say, I'm sorry, we've put too many people. So if you think about it, if you take away the 2.5 hours for the Champman FPL stream, that's more than one guest per hour, basically. So we've cut it there, but we're going to have 3 different sessions. I think one is going to be a call out and 2 are going to basically be phone-ins, and they'll both last around about an hour. So anybody who wants to come on and phone in, it's going to be a little bit like a radio for an hour, if you like. It will be phone in, how are you, who are you, what's your question, and then next. That's the plan and the idea. So everybody's going to have the opportunity to join in. I can't wait for it until it actually starts, and then I'm looking at the clock and going, shit, 23 hours and 30 minutes to go. But I'll be giving out full details in terms of what we're doing in terms of times, themes, subjects over the next 7 days or so. So like I said, I'm not stupid. No one's going to tune in for 24 hours. So you can pick and choose as and when you come. And obviously also, if there's something you want to catch up on, because it's going to be at a time that you're asleep, then obviously you'll know when to go back and look for it. Right, let's get into these chats, guys. Patrick Lawson says, good afternoon. So to Angus McPhail. Owen Kinnear says, thoughts on FPL's latest statement. Any chips you retain at present will remain available to you. Sounds like more game weeks added. I ain't got a clue, Owen. I tagged him in a tweet that I sent early in the week and said, I can't wait for your interview with the 2 people who are going to be in the FPL Cup final. I want to find out if they picked heads or tails in their virtual coin tosses and how they got to that point. But jokes aside, I also said to them, please be open and honest with your community during this week to confirm what you're going to do, because I know that there's people out there who are going to play their bench boost on the potential that games are going to get added on to game week 38. Me personally, I ain't doing anything. And I'm not going to lie, and I've said this many times over, that it's probably not what people want to hear, but I really couldn't give a toss about it at the moment. I just don't care. I've got no interest in what's going to happen. And I think personally, if the football season restarts, I'm going to have difficulty in being motivated for it. That we will obviously get straight back into it with the podcast featuring on it, etc., if and when it does happen. But in terms of my motivation for my FPL season, I've got no motivation left for it. I'm just not bothered at all. Hector Palmer's in the conversation saying good afternoon. Jeff Holt's in. Hello, guys. FPL Badger, Mark, one of our guests on the 24-hour stream. Hi, you think the comments from players Deeney and co suggest the PL will maybe push back the restart now? That's the vibe I'm getting. Should the players get a vote? I think the players getting a vote is a great idea, and I think that should then be potentially anonymous as well, in case these players are feeling under due pressure from their clubs or anything like that, which I don't get the feeling that is happening, but yeah, maybe there's some scope for that. The problem is, where do you draw the line of what percent? So if you say, right, 80% are happy, okay, so then what's the 20% who vote no to a restart? For those who've been listening to the podcast will know I keep repeating there are many, many hurdles to get over for this restart to happen. A lot of them are financial. A lot of them are physical in terms of the virus. Then you've got to factor in, obviously, the on-the-day stuff like the policing. You do need to legally have an ambulance available for a football match to take place in the Premier League. So it's many, many hurdles to cross yet. I'm getting the feeling, Mark, that we are getting closer to that restart. I think it's not a coincidence that people like Deeney and the Brighton guys and perhaps at West Ham and Villa are the guys who their comments are getting highlighted, whereas you had a big player like Aguero who made a comment who really didn't get that much media attention. That's because his football club's not got a lot left to play for, I don't think. So I do think the guys that are commenting from the sides that are in the relegation battle, their comments are getting far wider attention in the media at the moment, because you're getting called out. Oh, you don't want to play because of this, that, the other. I feel a bit different to it than I did last week, in the sense that I think we're probably heading towards a restart. I still have huge concerns if the restart will actually happen, and if the season will finish if we do restart. I hate to be the bearer, right? But it's highly likely there will be a second spike in England with this virus, with people beginning to go back to work and stuff like that. I think looking at transport and the amount of people using the tube and stuff in London, unfortunately, there feels like a little bit of an inevitability about that. But certainly, I think we're getting to the place where the majority of Premier League clubs want to go and play football again. The problem is they don't really know how to make it happen. It's that horrible word, unprecedented. How do we get there? How do we cross the line to make it happen? What do we do with stadiums? So it seems like the neutral venue idea has been thrown out. But does home form really matter? I heard one idea floated this week was, rather than do it on points per game, which currently would see, I think, Bournemouth relegated by 1 goal, not even a point, 1 goal, along with Aston Villa and Norwich. One other idea was to weight the potential future games of the home games left, and weight the results, which would actually then mean that West Ham got relegated rather than Bournemouth. But neither of these scenarios are right. I think me and Suj are very much of the opinion, if the football season restarts, relegation should happen. And if the season is voided, teams shouldn't get relegated. And that's how we feel. If we restart, we have to have relegation, whether the clubs down there like it or not. It's got to be some form of, apologies to use a UEFA term, but sporting merit. But clubs also shouldn't get relegated if they only play 28 or 29 league games. It's a tough one, Mark. It's a really, really tough one. Could it get pushed back further? I think the June 12th date is incredibly optimistic. I know clubs have been asking for 4 weeks training. It's now 15th of May. 4 weeks today would be that June the 12th date. I think June 12th and June 19th are the 2 dates that's really been mentioned. I think you could write off June 12th now. June 19th is a possibility if they get the talks right in the next 4 to 5 days. Because remember, 10 days from now, on May the 25th, the Premier League have to notify UEFA what their intentions are. So the decision literally has to come in the next 7 days, or I think we will be voided. And Suj and I have constantly been, I think next week we'll know. In 10 days, we will definitely know. That's 100%. We will at least know what the intention is if the restart is to be such. Shamil Gilani, who's our FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup, is coming on the live stream. He's in the chat. Hello, Sham. Hope you're well, buddy. Rob Pick, our CMFPL scouts in. He says, have you seen the Scout League? Hope you enjoyed my creativity. Who should Leeds owners bring in for Hart Kill, in your opinion? Well, owners shouldn't have Hart Kill. I have seen the leak, yes, that Ian Hart and Harry Kill won't be playing for Leeds United. It's got to be target Liverpool now. You know that double game week's on in 16 if you're planning that way. If you're planning to double game week 15, I think it's very much open field. Whether you're looking at sort of Leicester, perhaps you want to look at the financial money to move around to get Kevin Phillips in up front, for example. But I think the majority of the engaged players won't have Ian Hart or Harry Kewell at the moment. Andy Martin's in the chat, also coming on the live stream. Rob Pitt also says, pleased to see that FPL Oakwell hasn't been put in to replace me. Yeah. Rob was one of the guys I was in strong chats with to try and get a slot on. But yeah, I've got a promise to Rob in return. If he phones in for one in phone-ins, we'll definitely make sure he gets on. Gary Smith, star of Wednesday's Champman FPL stream, is in the chat. And he says, hello, it's Friday. The poor fella was absolutely convinced that it was Tuesday. Irons is in the chat, says, oi, oi, hello, mate. Hello to all the Wolfpack guys. Ike Jeffo says hello. Paul Coleman saying hello. And he's also mentioned the Ian Hart news with Champman FPL. Gary Smith reminding everyone that he's Gary. What day of the week it is FPL? You should change your Twitter handle there, Gary. Sham saying he can't wait for the stream. Cole Coots in the chat. Sham says, I think because you're bringing on numerous guests, it will keep you going for the 24 hours. That's part of the point as well. So if it was just me and Suj kind of staring at each other for the final 6 hours, being a bit pissed, I think we'd have struggled. So yeah, the fact that we're not going to want to let down rather guests that are coming on either will keep us highly motivated. We're going to be doing several games during the day as well, me and Suj, to kind of fill up some of the empty spaces, and we'll let you know what those are going to be in the next couple of days as well. One in the morning that should be quite fun, and a couple sort of very late at night, I mean sort of after 2 o'clock, which is going to be a car crash, and we may not have marriages afterwards. Brad Lundin says, you see Glenn Murray's comments, people saying that Brighton are only worried because of relegation. We haven't been in relegation zone in the 3 years we've been in the Prem, and we still aren't. Yeah, completely understand Glenn Murray's point of view. I think anybody who's digging out the footballers doesn't really appreciate the situation at the moment. For those who've not listened to the podcast, with the individual footballers, take a Glenn Murray or a Troy Deeney, what I've said is, if those individuals get relegated, they're going to be earning less money next season than if they void the season now and don't continue. And the human being aspect, you have to appreciate that. For, say, Glenn Murray, he's due retirement at any point, right? The salary that he earns next season is going to be very, very important to him. And he's probably on a good contract at Brighton. And he'll probably keep that good contract at Brighton if they stay in the Premier League. If they go down, that's not going to happen. He's going to lose a sizable chunk of his salary. It's going to be written into his contract. I'm sure with Troy Deeney, that's highly likely the case as well. Clubs like Brighton and Watford will have it written into contracts, the potential effects of relegation. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of the top clubs do, just in case, just to ensure themselves. Players going to sign that off. And if you're signing for, I don't know, Chelsea, and it's written into your contract, you'll get a 40% wage reduction if you get relegated. Players going to go, yeah, all right, I ain't getting relegated here anyway. I'll sign. I don't know. Brett goes on to say, Murray said teams shouldn't be relegated unless the Championship finish all their games. What do you think about that? I think that if the Premier League restarts, the bottom three should get relegated, irrespective of what happens in the Championship. You could make a case. One of the cases obviously been don't relegate anyone and bring Leeds and West Brom up. You could make a case to say, right, well, if no one's coming up from the Championship, then say, okay, we'll relegate 2 teams. We'll play 18-team Premier League next year, for example. I don't know. Is that the sort of thing that might be a compromise, maybe, that only 2 got relegated rather than 3? My argument why relegation really has to stand is the integrity of the league and the game. And essentially, we're all fighting to go back and play football. And if there's no relegation, there's little point to the rest of the season. There are a handful of clubs, Chelsea, Man United, Sheffield United, Wolves, who beg to differ on that a little bit. But otherwise, it's pointless. It's a waste of time. It would mean that if Chelsea came back and performed well, they'll finish top 4. And then you've got United, Wolves, Sheffield United playing for Europa League places. Spurs and Arsenal won't particularly give a shit if they're in or out of it. That's what you want to watch for your demand to get, desperate to get football back behind closed doors, is to watch the only thing that will matter on the last day of the season is like, can Spurs catch Sheffield United for the final Europa League place? Come on, man. It's not what we want, is it? Are we that desperate? No. Relegation, in my opinion, if the season finishes, there has to be relegation. But literally, it has to be all 38 games. None of this we restart, and if it's curtailed, then there's relegation. I have to play all 38 games. Rob Pick says, Joey Barton said today that if players like Deeney and Murray don't want to play, then that's fine. Let the kids play that care about keeping their club up. Typical Joey Barton sensationalism. Probably a little bit. He's quite an outspoken character, isn't he? He's not short of an opinion. I do not blame these guys like Deeney and Murray if they don't want to go back and play. You've got huge sympathy with that. Particularly, I think people are looking at it the wrong way. You're saying it because you don't want to get relegated. Of course they don't want to get relegated. It's their livelihoods. I don't blame them. Yeah, of course it's a little bit money motivated, but it's also motivated for their families, etc. in relation to that. And yes, some of them will genuinely have fears. We've heard Aguero say that they have fears of going back. I think there's a lot of Premier League players who, when this restarts, or if it restarts, won't be about, just not going to play. I genuinely think that's a strong possibility. Owen Kinnear says it only needs 7 Premier League clubs to vote the plan down. Surely the bottom 6 plus 1 other will vote down the final plan. That's the problem, Owen, because they haven't managed to get themselves into a position to define what they're going to do. Yes, that's a strong possibility. And if they can't get an agreement in the next 7 days, we're done. We're done because of that UEFA deadline. Unless the Premier League go to UEFA and say 100% we will restart. If they go to UEFA and say we are definitely going to restart, therefore our European places will be based on sporting merit, and then it doesn't happen, then there's a strong possibility that English clubs won't be in UEFA competition next year. And then there's even less reason to go back and play football. Dear. Paul Coleman says, James, have you ever been to any festivals, Glasgow, Reading, etc.? No, I'm not a huge music buff. I've got to be honest. It's not my gig. I do appreciate having a shower at least once a day. It's not my thing. Give me an away end in December any day of the week over that. Callum Highland, you've put one of the rare things in this chat that doesn't get read out, mate. That's an individual opinion, and I don't agree with it, mate. Angus McPhail, did you see Lyon had to release a statement contradicting their owner after he let the cat out the bag on a provisional August date for their Champions League tie with Juventus? No, I've not seen that, Angus, but I am aware that the intention is obviously to restart the European competitions in August and then finish them. The difficulty for Lyon, of course, is that France have banned all sport till September, haven't they, I think? So they have to, I mean, the tie against Juventus is actually away from home. But then what do they do if they have to play a quarterfinal when they've got to play in France? Well, they can't. So they have to play it outside the country. Or could the quarterfinals all onwards be on a neutral venue, i.e. in Istanbul, for example, where the final's going to be? No, I haven't seen that statement, but then you've got people in Boris Johnson's team who are saying completely different words to what he's saying and vice versa, right? So these things shouldn't come as any particular surprise. Brad Lewandowski says, Murray said he didn't mind starting now because he has no vulnerable people in his house. Brighton have 3 players whose wives, girlfriends are pregnant. We have 7, 8 players with young children. No one is mentioning that. That's spot on. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on this stream where I spoke about Gini Wijnaldum, who's just had a baby. And I was saying that, like, for Gini Wijnaldum, why would you go back and play football? Liverpool going to win the league. And Liverpool, by the way, will be awarded the Premier League title even if the season's been voided. That's been said this week. So Liverpool will be champions. Why would he go back and play? Why? For what? For what? All they've got left is Premier League games to complete in a season that they have already won. So what's the point in going back when he's got like a 2-3 week old baby in his house? Nah. I spoke about the idea of people were talking about putting players in camps for like 5-6 weeks or so to get them away from their families, etc. Why? Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to leave his baby for 5-6 weeks who's just been born? For what? No, there are more important things than football. We all love to think that that's not the case, but unfortunately, there are more important things than football. And if you're still in a headspace where football's the most important thing to you, then great, you're part lucky, but B, you need to change your mindset, seriously, or get some friends. There's just more important things at the moment. I was reading last night an article in Evening Standard that when the season restarts, the idea floating about is that it will start on a Friday night, possibly that June 19th date, and the first game would be Tottenham against Manchester United. And I'm reading that and I think, I don't even know how I feel about this. Of course I want to watch my team play, but no, I'm glad that someone's going to stop me and can't go, because if that game happened and they said, James, you can come, I'm there. Nothing's going to stop me because I've got an illness. I have to go. And nobody should be going. I'm of the opinion that we should not be restarting football. And I think I'm going to feel that way even if we get to the point in 4 or 5 weeks' time and we're actually starting. I think I'm still going to feel like it shouldn't be happening. I want it to happen, but I want it to be safe for it to happen. So yes, I've got massive sympathy with the likes of those Brighton players who have kids and Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum's not said anything. I'm just reading between the lines. It was an example I wanted to give a few weeks back. Yes, why would they go and play? So they're not robots. Todd Cantwell said that a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? He said, we're human people too. And nobody seems to get that. And you can say, yeah, they're on this, that wage, that, the other. It's a privileged life. We know that. But they are still human. They are still, they've all got mums. They've all got families. They all came from the same place as us. They are real people. And I think because of the way money's gone in football over the last 25 years or so, we've all forgotten that. So I would be all for anybody not wanting to play. If Harry Kane said, no, I ain't playing, I'd be cool. I'm all right with that. If it's Hugo, if it's anybody says don't want to play, I don't feel comfortable with this, I'm cool with that. No issue with it. Some of the hardcore supporters might feel differently about that in terms of letting the badge down or whatever. That certainly wouldn't be one of them. Harry Kane, by the way, will be first on the training pitch. There's no way he would ever turn down again. Harry Kane turn up on his own and play. By the way, wasn't that a great touch yesterday? His sponsorship of Leyton Orient. So he's paid for the sponsorship at Orient, which is the first club he went to on loan, which for those geographically might not know is not far from Tottenham at all. Leyton Orient are in East London, but it's very much northeast borderline, really. Kind of in between Tottenham and West Ham, basically. And yeah, Kane's paid for the sponsorship and having 3 different sponsors on the shirts. You might have noticed, the eagle-eyed might have noticed that on the 3rd kit, Haven House is the charity that's going to feature. And that's the charity that Suj ran for when he did the marathon. So, I mean, that's properly cool. Rob Pick says, how good was Popescu when he played for Spurs? You briefly touched him on the Sugar Throwback pod. I loved him for a little while. Really good technical player, Rob. Really good. He was bought as a sweeper, but we didn't have a holding midfield player. So he ended up basically playing in midfield with David Howes when Jerry Francis took over. He really struggled with the physicality. And then he pulled out of a tackle against Everton in the semi-final at Ellen Road in '95. And the fans wanted him out from there. You can't, FA Cup semi-final, pull out of a tackle. Nah, that was the end of him. I have seen players pull out of tackles and recover for that. I remember Modric's, after he tried to go and strike his first game back, I was at Molineux and Modric pulled out of a tackle and I thought he was done. I'd have slung him out of the club then. By the end of that season, he was basically our player of the year, to be fair. But Popescu didn't have Modric's ability. He was technically a good player. I mean, he went to Barcelona from us, Rob, so I think it tells you what you need to know in terms of the technical qualities he had. Mike Saint since this afternoon. FPL says, think we'll get 20,000 viewers today. I shouldn't think so. So for those who missed the Champman FPL stream on Wednesday night, yes, the stream did peak at 20,000 viewers. Yeah, I realise you're looking at the stream now going, what? There's 28 people in it. Yep, 20,000 viewers. Eat that. I'm negotiating with Suj now over my new contract. And obviously the inevitable pay rise that will come with that, which I think I've obviously deserved. We don't know what happened. Basically, in the 10 minutes up to half time, the viewers started going through the roof, and then 20 minutes later, they dropped just as quickly, basically. I don't know if it was robots. I don't know. Some people had mentioned that perhaps a high-profile person on YouTube had recommended the video to go and attack it, but then there was nobody weird in the stream. I don't know what happened, but it was funny as hell seeing the viewing numbers go up. And that was all that was in the chat. What didn't make a sense with it was if people were attacking into the stream as like bots or whatever, or I think people called it a raid, YouTube raids, where you go and raid someone's chat. I mean, Jesus Christ, how childish is this stuff? But it was nobody in the chat that wouldn't normally be there. It was weird. I haven't got an explanation for what's happened. I've checked the bank account. Everything's fine. I don't know, but it was funny as hell. FPL Badger says the Premier League relegated teams could be playing near enough continuous football should we get a restart. Whereas the Championship teams would have had a massive break and maybe be advantaged going into 2021. I'm not sure if it will work out that way, Mark. I understand what you're saying there in terms of less games, little while to go, etc. Obviously, the Premier League's got to decide what they're going to do with the FA Cup and stuff as well. But I'm not sure that will necessarily be the case. I don't know. We'd have to wait and see. I'd need to look more into the intended plans for that, Mark, and we could discuss then. But I think, like, they're just going on and playing. What clubs would have to, if we finish the football season in August and then restart in September, the next one, then I just think clubs are going to have to be a little bit smart and give players probably 2-week rests during the season. Say to Harry Kane, no, look, I'm sorry, piss off for 2 weeks. You're not playing. Just to have a break. I mean, the winter break last year didn't happen, did it? Amber Redmond says, Joey Barton, the most opinionated man in football. He might well be, Amber. He's certainly not short of an opinion. That is something we very much know. Who's next? Rob Pick says, one, I can't remember hearing you talk about what were your feelings when you signed Adebayor as an ex-Arsenal player and how did he do? Also wonder what your views on Rebrov. Cover Rebrov first. Like, mentally excited when we signed Rebrov. I think most Spurs fans would say on reflection, if you said the question, who was the one signing you thought was going to be amazing and wasn't, was Rebrov. And then, do you know what? He was never bad, but he was never good, if that makes sense. You could tell that Rebrov had it. You know, him and Shevchenko at Dynamo Kiev, my goodness. Incredible strike partnership. It was probably around about the time United won the treble. I think you could have made a case that they were the best forward pairing in the planet. Shevchenko obviously went to Milan and we managed to get hold of Rebrov and it was like, what? How have we got this guy? And he did nothing. But you could tell he had whatever it was. He had it, but he couldn't show it. It's a really strange one. I don't know if he just really struggled to settle or he wasn't someone who you thought didn't work hard, like he tried. I never felt like his fitness was particularly an issue. It just didn't happen for him. It wasn't like, say, with Soldado. Soldado came over, and I don't know if people know this or not, but Soldado was over for about a month, and his wife had a miscarriage, or was a stillborn. Horrendous, anyway. And it shot him as soon as he got, and then he started missing chances. And you could physically see, and I think most people have seen this in players before. You could physically see all the ability and not just basically the personality drain out of him. Like, it was just gone, confidence completely shot. It was never like that with Rebrov. It was just a really strange one. When we got Adebayor, I was delighted, genuinely, the first time. Because he was exactly the sort of player that we needed, 100%. We needed a big, powerful, quick, and there's not many players in their peak who can get big, powerful, quick. And Adebayor at his best did have all of those. And the first year he came on loan, he was fantastic. Any Spurs fan tells you different, he's lying to you. But all the time, Gooners were in our ear going, as soon as he signs for you properly, forget about it. And it's exactly what happened. He signed permanently for Man City, and it was like, where's the player I was watching last season? It was gone. It was bizarre. It was like he was fighting for a contract, so he turned up and did bits to people. He was brilliant. He was brilliant that first year on loan. Yeah, I liked him. Particularly that first year, but then it got to the stage where it was like, this guy's not trying. And then there was weird stuff with AVB and stuff. And then when Sherwood come and he started performing well again, like he had something to prove, and then very quickly it disappeared again. Pochettino made him like vice captain, didn't he? It was weird, and no sooner than like 4 or 5 months later, he was out the door. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with Adebayor. I wouldn't have a problem. It's not the whole Arsenal Spurs thing with the case that you're probably referring to, maybe there, Rob. It was very different. He went direct from one to the other and said he would never leave. It's a different case. I think the days of you played for Arsenal, so you can't play for Spurs are done. Like, we had Gallas as well. Gallas played for Arsenal and Chelsea, and similarly as well. Gallas, in fact, I think it was the same season that Adebayor was in on loan. Gallas was great for a little while. really good, particularly those 2 legs against Milan in the Champions League when we won 3-2 at Arsenal. He was fantastic. Redknapp made him captain. He'd only been with the club 2-3 months, which was brave considering it was Arsenal away and he was going straight back. And we won, and he was captain. It was great. So I think he won a lot of Spurs fans over that day, particularly. Tom Campbell is in the chat. Hello, TC. Also, another member of our team for the 24-hour live stream. This afternoon. Are you and Suj getting takeaways in for the live stream? What are you opting for? I think I don't know. The thing is, Tom, if I ever like a big pizza or something or a burger, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want that. That's put me out on the couch. You know what I mean? So no, I think the idea is probably to maybe go down some sort of healthy route. While I'm drinking, I don't particularly want to eat anyway. So I think I'll open first can at 2:30 and just keep going. And I might be able to go without food. One of the things that we haven't discussed yet, we need to manage is like toilet stuff and things like that. So unfortunately, when we have some of these guests on, we're going to have to dive. We're both at some point going to have to dive and go to the toilet or something. You can't, especially if you're drinking. If I'm drinking, I'm going to be going every half hour or so. But, you know, it's 24 hours. We're all adults. Everyone's got a poo at some point. So, and you can't plan that. You can't sit there in the morning and go, yo, Suj, I'm going to do my poo at 8:10. Is that all right? You know, life doesn't work like that, does it? Ideally, that won't be necessary. I think food-wise, Tom, we're going to have to go down some sort of healthy option. If I start eating junk food, I'm in big trouble. Big trouble. So I'm probably going to avoid that. We need to decide if we're going to eat while we're on as well, or if we're going to disappear for 10 minutes to eat. I'm thinking maybe bananas, stuff like that. And just like, if I'm hungry, right, have a banana. Right, if I'm hungry, have a banana. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, we need to think about it. Colin Atkinson says, afternoon, James. At 15 years old, I bet you never envisaged being a world-renowned YouTube megastar. I didn't envisage it, Colin, at 35 years old, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, it was fun the other night. Really, really good fun. I don't think that will ever happen again. But and I don't know how it happened, but it was good fun seeing it happen. Especially when I sent the tweet out afterwards. So I took a screenshot at the end that says peak viewers 20,000. So I sent a casual tweet out saying, thanks for everyone who joined in the stream tonight. Great to hit 20,000 viewers live. It just calm as. And people were in the responses going, wow, congratulations. And I'm thinking, you ain't got a clue, have you? But yeah, it was great fun, mate. Richard Romans has just popped on. Best away ground for beer and pies. Ooh. Beer shit everywhere. It's actually Spurs. I'm not going to lie in terms of beer. And I go for Spurs for food as well now. Seriously. It's a very, very unique stadium. I tell you where I had a couple of years back was brilliant. He had a sausage roll at Leicester. Fucking hell. Absolutely blinded. It was about £3.50, I think, or £4. It wasn't cheap, but blimey, it was good. Yeah, really nice sausage roll at Leicester. So I'm going to go with Leicester on that one. Ike Jeffo, no, it's a bit off topic, but was wondering if you had any opinions, insight on Australian football and the direction it's heading. I wouldn't have a clue, but Alex Waterbaby will be one of our guests on the 24-hour live stream. He's in New Zealand, so we certainly will ask him a little bit in terms of what the perception is down in Oceania and that. Rob Pick, last 2 questions, I promise. You can keep going. Amber's questions made me think I used to fucking hate Simon Jordan, but think he talks a lot of sense on football via Twitter Talksport. Feelings on him. Hasn't been to a tanning shop in a little while, which I imagine is quite problematic for him. Who was it called him orange? It was DT, wasn't it, from AFTV? Would he call him packet of Doritos or something? Blinding. Yeah, I think with what's happening in the current status, yeah, Simon Jordan's been talking some sense on some things. He doesn't always, I must say, and he hasn't always in the past, but he's obviously got insight in terms of being he used to be chairman for Crystal Palace. So he's got to have some sort of insight into things like player contracts and things like that, which is obviously useful. We'll have some expertise in that field. And I think he's still got links to Palace as well. So yeah, strange one. Interesting you mentioned Amber as well, Rob, because Amber's not coming onto the live stream, but we are doing a little bit of a special during the stream where we're going to do half hour of just questions from Amber. And the reason for that is those who listen to the Planet FPL podcast know it's becoming a long-running joke for quite a while. If not even a joke, it's actually serious. That Amber sends in the best questions. Would you rather, who would, the kind of questions that really put you on the spot. So Amber's going to have a little feature as well where she's going to send in some questions basically when we start the slot for her, and we're not going to know what they are. And me and Suja got to think on our feet, and we'll properly go into some detail on these questions. I have no idea what they're going to be, but Amber's questions are fantastic. Owen Kinnear, bit of trivia. Which goalkeeper has won the most FA Cups and how many has he won? Ooh. Good question. I'm thinking maybe David Seaman. 4. Is that right? 4 David Seaman. I'm gonna go with that, maybe. I think that's possibly a decent shout. Yeah, I can go David Seaman 4, maybe. But let us know, Owen, before this stream ends anyway. Alex in the chat, best striking option for 14, 16, 17 if free hitting 15. That's a Champman FPL question. I was planning to sell Kanu and Shearer before they both picked up injuries for a -4. So the fact that they are injured has not altered my thinking at all. I also have, what other dickhead do I have in my team? Oh, Robbie Fowler. So Robbie Fowler's set and ready for me for 16. I think if you haven't got Robbie Fowler, that's where I'd go. There's always a risk in going Robbie Fowler because he's quite injury prone. I'm going back to Van Nistelrooy and I'm going for Kevin Phillips. Those are the other two I'm going for. I've got the money in the bank to do that. I haven't 100% decided if I'm going Phillips over Rebroff. If I go Phillips and Rebroff ends up with a double in 17, I'll be quite gutted. But I think I like the immediate Phillips more. Also, that 1 million difference between Phillips and Rebroff is going to be really handy because if I go Rebroff, I'm really going to struggle to get a third Man United asset in. Whereas if I go Phillips, I'm not. So it's not just a Phillips v Rebroff choice. I need to think about the other things. I think I'm going to end up with Van Nistelrooy, Phillips and Fowler, which then allows me, I will free hit in 15. Then in 16, I've already got 3 Liverpool. I've got Hippier, Gerrard and Fowler, which will allow me, I'll probably just skip Fulham to then get my third Man United in and then add something else of 17, a third Middlesbrough player then. Because I've got 2 at the moment, Johnson and Crossley. So that's where I'm at. For me, I think I'm bench boost probably February time. Well aware that I'm not going to get as many doubles out as I would in a normal FPL game week or as people who are bench boosting in game week 15 will. But I think that's going to be a better solution for me. For those that are playing in 15, I hate nearly all their fixtures afterwards. I don't want to be going into that team and having it come back out the other side. So it's the right strategy for me. Alex Turner says, hypothetically, say official FPL returns next weekend. How do you think you'd feel? I currently feel I'd not bother finishing the season, not missed it at all. I'm not going to repeat what I said earlier, Alex. Thank you for the question. I did mention that quite near the start. That I don't give a toss, basically. And Rob Pick's final question. Your favourite worst pundits on football on TV? Fan of Gary Neville, which I never thought I'd say. Think Chris Sutton is appalling. I'll tell you what, best and worst, I'd go with that, Rob. Gary Neville, Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton, I can't stand. John Hartson's another one I get a bit painful over with. I'm not happy with that. I do like Gary Neville. I think Carragher's done great. And the particular reason I think Carragher's done great is because you can't understand what he's saying. So for him to do good analysis and actually make it enjoyable is a feat in itself. I quite like Danny Murphy. Sometimes he chats shite. Sometimes he's really good. And Jermaine Genius is another one. Actually, I think he's all right. Actually, I think he'll get better. Jermaine Genius. He feels like he's got more that he's in touch with what the newer viewer wants to see. And I think that's what Gary Neville particularly did really well, was he identified that the way football analysis was going through sort of the Grey Keys era, and that had become very, this is what's tried and trusted and works. Whereas I think Gary Neville really tries to challenge what he's doing. And he's not afraid to say it, neither is Carragher, and that's why those two work very well. So yes, I know they're the most high profile ones, but I think they're the most high profile ones because they're the best. I'd say who else was great when he's done it, and he's not about doing it at the moment, was really enjoyed Henry actually when he'd been on for a few World Cups and that. Really good Thierry Henry. Better as a pundit than he was as a player, obviously. Tim Lum, favourite brewery, whichever one I've bought off, mate, to be honest. Elite, Steve-O is in the chat. Hello, mate. Another one joining us on our 24-hour live stream. He's just saying he totally agree with you, James. More important things in life. Yeah. Tim Lum's also saying the sponsorship thing on Harry Kane, absolutely class. Yes, indeed. Rob Pick saying big nod to Harry Kane for what he's done with Orient. I think it may start a wave of players helping former clubs. Yeah, let's hope so. It's good, isn't it? I had pride in seeing that for Harry. And as England captain, I've been part of 4 FA Cup winning squads, but I've only made the bench for one of them and I didn't play. Who am I? I think that might be Peter Cech, actually. I know in Arsenal's 3 wins in the mid-teens, he didn't start any of those finals. Ospina, Fabianski and Szczesny, respectively, started those finals. Peter Cech didn't start an FA Cup final for Arsenal. So I think that might be the correct answer. Brad Lewington, wouldn't expect anything else from Kane. Class guy. Shame he was falling on the floor every 2 seconds against Brighton. Yeah, leave it out, mate. Was he on the floor when he scored twice against you as well? Carl Coote, for the CMFPL double game week, am I the only one looking at Heskey over Fowler? Think he is just as much upside and for less Müller, which just come back from injury. I think that's one as a wait for 16, maybe, Carl. Just to wait and see. But if Heskey's definitely fit, yeah, go to cheaper. I'm not against that. Rob, I thought you said you were done with the questions on CMFPL. Liverpool assets, I get it. Their fixtures are good, but they've been utterly shite so far. Surely Fowler, Hippier, maybe midfield dead zone. Well, I've got the 2 players you mentioned, and I've got the other one from midfield dead zone who's the most likely to start 2 games in a double game week. So that's where I'm at. People talk about averages with these sims. Well, Liverpool are due to start getting good results soon, aren't they? Surely. Rob also says, so interesting on Rebrov. Did he do it after he left Spurs? Did he fade away? Can't remember. Also didn't know that story on Soldado. Vincent Janssen was an enigma. I didn't even mind Vinny either because Vinny tried. You get certain players and you think, hey, putting the effort in. Janssen, yeah, he was shy, but he really tried and he played an important part, particularly that night I was at Swansea when he came on and played a big part in the winning goal that Son got. He was all right. As long as it was fed right into him, he was okay. Like to floor to feet, he was okay because he used to back in really well. If it was coming out the sky and stuff, he was in trouble because he didn't have the touch and the control. But he tried really hard, Janssen. He really did. And it didn't help that he knew if he got a chance, Kane was coming back in. It's the same problem I always talk about. Rebrov Rob really did absolutely disappear following Spurs. Did nothing. Even end up at West Ham. You probably can't even remember that. There you go. Point in case. Or case in point even. Hector Palmer on wildcard this week. Thoughts on the best third United asset for the long term alongside Ruud van Nistelrooy, Silvestre. Can't decide between double defence for Beckham. Well, the best one obviously to get is Varane, then Beckham. But I think for myself as well, Hector, it's going to end up being the budget call. We end up probably back with Blanc, actually. I've got Silvestre going back to Van Nistelrooy this week. I think Blanc's the most nailed and easiest to get back to, and that's just what I'll end up doing. Tom Campbell saying on the food, so true. We're getting old, mate, aren't we? Just pal. Owen Kinnear, how close did Roman Abramovich come to buying Spurs before Chelsea? That last day Gronky goal in 2003 totally changed Chelsea's history. Absolutely did. Yes, Abramovich did have interest in Spurs as well. It was a moment in time. We will never, ever know. But the chances are, had Abramovich bought Spurs, don't be surprised if Chelsea had been a championship club right now. Tim Lum, Spurs have a Beavertown bar now, right? Yes, built into, they have a microbrewery and their own site in the stadium. It's brilliant. It's obviously really popular. It's great. You need to get in there quite early, really, to get a bit of a space. But yeah, that's in the home end of the stadium. There is a microbrewery and that. It's brilliant. Rob Pick says, yes, I'm aware. I'm still asking questions. Little one hasn't woken up yet. Can't wake him up then, mate. FPL Irons, how far away from another Champions League final do you believe Spurs are? If you were to get rid of Mourinho soon, could you get back in 2-3 years? Well, Irons, or Lucas, obviously I know you. I never thought I'd get to one, right? So I don't anticipate ever going to another one. So listen, you got to sort you in-house first before you start thinking about Champions League finals and stuff. When Liverpool lost to Madrid, they were primed to go again to push City and push in the Champions League again. Spurs clearly in August this year were in no position to be doing either of those two things. So way off. Yeah, I'd probably never happen again, but I got to go once, right? There's not many people in this chat will say, yeah, I've been to a Champions League final. It also says he's going Phillips and Ruud van Nistelrooy also. And where are you now, Luke? You're about 6th in the world. Did you have a little drop? But you're doing very well. Owen Kinnear is close. David Seaman has 4, but Peter Cech has 5. Yeah. So did he play in 5 finals? Bloody hell. Even though he had all them ones on the bench. Patrick Lawson saying that, yeah, Peter Cech must have more. Callum Stokes, afternoon, James. Just finished my final ever university exam. Celebrations in order. Many congratulations, Callum. Good luck. I hope you get the results that you're looking for there, mate. But yeah, have a nice, safe beer indoors. And we'll begin to wrap this up now because I've been waffling on for nearly an hour or so. Owen Kinnear says, Stuart Taylor, 3 Arsenal squads and 1 City squad, but only made the bench once. FPL Irons is 1 point off top in CMFPL. Very well done, mate. And Andy Cairn says, hi, James. Happy Friday. Would love to go to the new Spurs Stadium. Is it sold out to season ticket holders, etc., or are there usually tickets available? You can get a ticket at the moment, mate, but they won't let you in. Spurs have 46,000 season ticket holders, I believe. They capped it at that. They obviously have to give 3,000 tickets to away fans, and then about what does that give me? 49,000. I think there's 7,000 tickets goes general admission, and the other 4,000 are like 4,000 or 5,000 are like premium tickets, segregation steward and all that kind of shit. Not easy, Andy, but it might well be when football restarts, because it could well be that a lot of people were not going to go again, right? Some people the world's changed. Some people are going to go, I'm not going to football anymore. That's an absolute reality. I will obviously be one who does go as and when. It won't be easy, Andy. Let's message me when football restarts, and I'll see if I can point you in the right direction. The direction could be very, very different, but there are not a lot of tickets that become available. You can buy from the ticket exchange, so that's if a season ticket holder can't go to a game, then they can sell their individual ticket. So if you're just a one person, that's a good way to pick it up. But then you've got to be a member at Spurs. So are you happy to pay 20 odd quid a year to be a member for the chance to go to one game? You might think that's something that's worthwhile. Owen Kinnear says, I'm away back to work. Work hard. Best wishes to you, the wife and the wee man. Thank you, Owen. You take care of yourself. And Andy Cairn saying, thumbs up. Good luck for the weekend. Okay, cool. Good stuff. That's a nice little rant. If you joined in late, head back to the start of the stream and you'll hear all the 22 guests I've announced sort of coming on the 24-hour live stream, which will be next Saturday, the 23rd. Before that, obviously, Champman FPL, 2:30 tomorrow, game week 14. We'll be back with all the usual content from Monday. We're going to put plans on ice in terms of if something breaks over the weekend in terms of a restart, which I suspect it won't. Otherwise, it will be the usual main podcast Monday, People's Poll Tuesday, quiz Wednesday, throwback Thursday, and I'll be back Friday. Obviously, Champman FPL Wednesday night as well. And then on the 23rd, 6 a.m. till 6 a.m. on the 24th, 24-hour live stream. Loads of guests, loads of fun, loads of interaction. Every single one of you will have the opportunity to come onto the stream if your timing is right and if Suj presses the right button. But other than that, thanks for joining in. Thanks to everybody who got in the chat. Much appreciated. See many of you on the Champman FPL stream tomorrow. Stay safe. Be nice to each other. And for the benefit of the audio, cue music, please, man child.